Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Okay, we're moving on into part 2 of Marco. So we're going to get right on into it. Moving on to season 5. In season 5, he's in Venus parts 1 and 2. He's next to Ellie when she gets an email about Ash being with Alistair, whatever you can pronounce his name, and staying in the UK. Then he's at the dock for Craig's surprise party. Craig's pissed when he finds out everybody knew about Ash. He goes outside to comfort Ellie, and he eventually calls her out on the fact that she likes Craig, obviously. In part 2, he encourages Ellie to join Craig's band during lunch. In Death of a Disco Dancer, he's in class when Mr. Perino tries to get the class's attention when Alex and Paige have their little spat back and forth. Because remember, this is when Alex is like, oh, you don't need to go to college or whatever. And Paige is like, what about college? What is your future? You know, that type of thing. And it's like very, very annoying to Alex. The next day he walks with Paige as she tells him about the disaster date with Oleander, because remember he came back and he's a bum. Yeah. Moving on to weddings, parties, and anything else, whatever, how long that damn title of the episode is. He's performing in the garage with the band. Marco tries to pry information out of Craig about him and Ellie in the halls the next day at school. He leaves Craig at the dock to celebrate with Ellie after finding out that they're performing at a wedding. At the mall, he keeps prying information from Craig about him and Ellie. He's just really being like a little nosy bug, you know. He want to know. He's just very nosy about it. And Craig keeps shutting him down, saying that there's nothing between him and Ellie, and Manny actually showed up. He's like, ooh, that sounds like a problem. Because it is. Later, they run into Joy buying condoms. Later, he helps load the equipment when Ellie and Manny both show up. At the wedding, Craig whines about his dilemma with Ellie and Manny. And tell it to my heart, he's at home with his dad. He's at home when his dad asks about going fishing again. His dad is worried about him going into acting because he sees him talking to himself. He's like, oh, are you into acting? He's like, no, I'm working on the play for Mr. Simpson. It's just a little favor. And that's when his dad says like, oh yeah, good, because you're going to be working at the printing company with me. And that's when we find out that Marco wants to be a social worker like his cousin Louis, or Uncle Louis, was it? His cousin Louis. And we find out that Louis is a social worker and he's also gay. Hey, look at that. His dad complains that Louis' mom will never have grandkids, and raising a gay kid is like saying it, like, you know, it's a failure. Just as Marco is about to tell his dad, like, oh, well, you got a failure. Well, then you're a failure, too, because you got a gay kid. Before he says that, he just leaves. During the play, Paige calls him out for crushing on Tim. That's the main reason why they're even working on the play. Well, he's also helping Simpson, but, you know, he notices Tim in the corner. He's like, ooh, who's that? He sees Tim get assaulted by some assholes in the hallway. He asks if he's okay. And he's like, oh, do you want to go to, you want to go see the nurse? He's like, no. He's like, well, then how about I take you to get coffee at the dock? So they do that. And at the dock, he tells Tim that he's gay, and he tries to help him out as a friend, being like, I know I've been where you are, and I know what it's like. And the next day, Tim tells him in the halls that he left a tab open on the computer, and his dad saw it. And so he's like freaking out, and he's like, okay, just tell your dad, just come out to your dad. Knowing damn well, we know he knows. Tim don't know, but we know that Marco is not out to his dad, but yet you're telling somebody to come out to their dad. Interesting. So he encourages him to come out. And then he shows up at Marco's home, actually. And Tim is very upset because he told his dad that he is gay. And his dad kicked him out. When his parents pop up in the kitchen, Tim says he came out. And his dad's like, oh, came out what? Like, what's going on over here? And Marco's like, oh, Tim told his dad that he was working on the play, and his dad doesn't like that. And they were just having a fight over that. Tim realizes that Marco hasn't even told his own dad yet that he's gay. So he's like, oh, okay, clock it. The next day, Marco continues to lie in the kitchen again when Marco talks about, like, you know, about Tim, you know, fixing his situation with his dad. And Marco's dad is like, oh, Tim, like, I don't understand, like, what's so difficult, like, you know, what's so hard about that? Like, he just didn't want you to be in the play. And that's when Tim starts to, like, use, like, certain language to make it, like, very, like, apparent to Marco what he's talking about, because he's very much just like, yeah, Marco, like, isn't it hard to, like, pretend to be something that you're not? Like, but you're so good at it. Like, he's being very snarky. And I'm like, ooh, kind of got you there, Marco. At school, he tells Paige what happened, and he admits that he made Tim think that he came out to his dad. Paige is like, well, then come out to your dad. Like, come on. So right before the play starts, he calls his dad, and he admits that Tim is gay, and his dad says that he can't be in his house anymore. He's like, I can't believe you let a queer in my house. And Marco's like, what if you already have one? Like, calm down. His dad pretends to not have heard him. And he's like, I'm gonna look for your mother, blah, 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 blah. Like, what it's like, she can't find a parking spot, blah, 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 blah. Like, he's trying to, like, play it off. Marco's like, dude, I'm gay. Like, he's, like, trying to be like, dad. And so Marco, during the play, Marco's performing, but then he stops because he's like, you know what? Fuck this. Dad, I'm gay. And his dad gets up and leaves. And he continues on with the play. Back at home, his dad is avoiding him, and he demands to talk to him and asks if he ever knew. His dad tells him to stop saying that he's gay, because he keeps saying, he's like, I'm gay, dad, I'm gay. And his dad eventually says that he doesn't want to know about that part of him. And Marco says, well, you don't want to know about me then, period, because facts. Okay. In Redemption Song, he is in the hall with Jimmy and Craig when Spin tries to talk to Jimmy, because remember, this is after Spin tells Jimmy that he's the reason why Jimmy got shot in the first place. And so Jimmy's all like, when I said you're dead to me, I said you're dead to me, period. Don't talk to me. And then later, Marco is seen helping with the mural that Jimmy drew. Because remember, this is also the time that Jimmy starts to have a little crush on Ellie. And Hazel clocks it. Yeah, this is that episode. In Lexicon of Love Parts 1 and 2, he is talking in the MI lab with Craig about the premiere. Him and Hazel can't get into the private party. We know what happens in these episodes. This is Paige and Alex's episodes. These are Palix's episodes. So they're not the focus anyway. In part 2, Paige asks him if he had ever been into girls. Like, have you ever considered it? He's like, I'm gay. And then she tells him that she is actually the object of affection for one of the girls. Like, he's like, oh my God, it's Heather Sinclair, isn't it? Like, I noticed how she looks at you. She's like, oh my God, Marco, not Heather. And that's when Alex walks in. It's very weird. And he puts it together. He's like, oh shit, you and Alex? Like, and that's when she's like, she kissed me. Yeah. And Together Forever, he's at the dock talking about getting into uni, and Craig doesn't want to go. Craig insists that they're all going to get a record deal, and they're at the showcase when this dude, Leo Davies, walks up and says that he's interested in managing Downtown Sasquatch. They end up having a photo shoot where Craig is, like, the main focus. The guy is, like, moving everybody around, and he's like, oh, yeah, Craig, be in the front. Yeah, yeah, Ellie, get in the back because you're a girl. Suck it. Like, that's the energy that the dude is giving. At the dock, Ellie sits apart from the band because she's like, I could work the room from the back. Like, what that man said, Leo shows up and announces that the showcase wants the band back. Marco announces that it'll mess up their year because, they're going to be gone for so long, and, education's important. And Leo's like, fuck it. I'm like, okay, dude, let's calm down. Later in the garage, they are performing. And at the end of the episode, he says bye to Craig when he leaves for the opportunity, because now Craig is a solo artist. In Eye Against Eye, Marco tells Jimmy to chill out at the carnival because, remember, Jimmy's still pissed at Spinner. I mean, everybody's still pissed at Spinner. And he's, like, throwing the balls, and so Spinner keeps going into the cold water. And so Marco's like, I need you to chill. And then Jimmy's like, what? What do you mean? Like, I'm just getting started. He's like, nah, bro. He's freezing. Like, look at him. And so they end up walking away. Later, we see him passing out flyers to promote safer sex, and Ellie points out that religion and sexuality doesn't really mix, and that, it's not a good combination. It doesn't work. And so Marco's like, well, let's not say all that because I'm Catholic, and I think that things can change, that religion and sexuality can coexist and, cohabitate, commingle, and all that good shit. Spinner stops to talk to him about what everyone is up to, and because this is when they're back, he's in the school, but Marco tells him that everybody is busy, like Palix is together, okay, Ellie and Jimmy are doing the art thing, like really, full time pretty much. Like they're really like into the art. They're going to like museums and shit together. And Craig's gone, so he's like, I have no friends. And so Spin is like, oh, maybe we can go like hang out, go see a movie again. And so they do end up going to see a movie together. They're at the mall, and Marco says the movie sucked, but Spin loves it because he loves terrible movies. Like, and they really just talk about like, oh, like things that change between them, or maybe things that haven't changed. She's like, that's when Marco's like, oh man, you haven't changed. You like the same terrible movies. And that's when Spin is like, oh, your style hasn't changed either. Like, he makes fun of his belt because it's stupid. Like I said in the first part, Marco's style is terrible. I love him, but god awful. Like, I need him to find his style like ASAP, because this is not it. Okay, this is bad. And he ends up asking Spinner about Friendship Club, and Spin starts talking about it, saying like he felt very alone because no one was around anymore. His friends didn't want to speak to him, so he found solace in Friendship Club and Darcy. Marco starts to feel guilty, and so they end up squashing their beef. Spin asks Marco to cancel the seminar. This is the next day at school, and spews the shit that Linus, the loser, was telling him, of like, oh, they're promoting, kids to have more sex. This goes against God. This is immoral, blah, 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 blah. And so Spin is saying the same thing, knowing damn well your ass has been a hoe for like a solid like 3 years, okay? Like, let's start there, But he's like a born again Christian. But I'm like, that's what gets on my fucking nerves. It's like, if you want to get into religion, like, I'm not saying, don't find something that you connect with, that you believe in. Like, do that. Yes, do it. But don't go to the other side and start bashing people on the other side that you were just on. Like, that's when I'd be like, you know what? You're fucking weird. Because there's a difference between actually finding a relationship with God, finding a relationship within just religion in general. Like, that's different. If it's something generally that you connect with and you want to, and you feel a connection to, that's fine. Great. It's when you start spewing bullshit back and being like, yeah, that's a sin. It's like, you committed that sin 3 months ago before you became a born again Christian. Like, let's start there. Like, that's the kind of shit that pisses me off. And so Marco calls him out on it. He's like, you sound stupid. And so we fast forward to the seminar, and we know what happens. Linus calls him the F word, and Marco windmills his ass. It's like literally the funniest and best slap I've ever seen, because Marco just whips his ass. He just went whoosh. I love it. In Total Eclipse of the Heart, he is seen stressed out at the dot over homework. He asks how Dylan is, because he's like, oh yeah, how is he? Like, that asshole. And Ellie pesters him about it, being like, oh, someone's still, a little bit cranky about it. Like, someone's still mad about it. So him and Tim have been seeing each other, though. And when Paige is like, oh, my ride is here, Dylan walks up. And that's when Marcos is like, you didn't tell me Dylan was bad. She's like, oops. So Dylan comes in. He's all like, oh, my God, hey, Marco. Is it okay if I sit down? He's like, actually, no, you can't, because that's the spot from my boyfriend, Tim. And Tim stands there with, like, the coffees. And it's like, sir, this is not the time. And obviously, we know how this episode ends. I'm not going to take forever to describe this episode. But we know Dylan is trying to get back with Marco. He's being like, does Tim know about me? Things come down to you and me, because it's always going to be me and you in the end, period. That's what Dylan is saying. I'm not saying that. And we know, unfortunately, that it works and they get back together. Disgusting. Moving on to High Fidelity. He is working on the play and witnesses Darcy and Manny fight. One of my favorite fights. One of my favorite fights. And I say that because that's when Manny finally snapped. It's like, you are absolutely the last bitch to ever call me that. Okay? Manny had reached her limit because she had been seen as a slut throughout the entire school for so long. And for Darcy to be the one person, she said, no, I'm done with you. Later, we see Marco at the dot. He's working on his valedictorian speech because he's valedictorian. Yes, smart. I love me a smart guy. Okay. And then he's at the rebirth ceremony for Spin. because they finally, like, you know, make up or whatever. Spinner's like, oh, I'm sorry for what Linus said. Like, I don't agree with what he said. That shit, he's like, that shit went to a whole nother level. Like, I don't agree with that. Like, you know, you're my friend, Marco, and I love you and I appreciate you, you know, type of thing. And then later we see him giving the speech at graduation. Whew. Moving on to season 16. I'm writing this time down for my timestamps. It's okay. Okay, cool. And here comes your man, parts 1 and 2. Everyone's moving in, and he's trying to convince Ellie to move in with him and Dylan. He's stretched thin, trying to help everybody. Like, he has to plan Paige's going away party because she's going to Banting. He needs to help Dylan move in. Him and Ellie got something planned. So he's like, oh, and he's like, I got y'all. I got y'all covered. I got this. At the dot, Paige is pestering him about the party. She's like, oh, I like this, this, and this, you know, pointing out and stuff in the magazine. And at the house, he tells Dylan that his dad and Louie are moving his stuff in tomorrow, and how he had to tell his dad that Dylan is a friend. So they're still playing this friend thing because his dad doesn't want to know that he's gay. He doesn't want to accept it. He's being very much, you know, it's very annoying. And during the party, his dad and uncle show up. This is the same Uncle Louie that his dad was just talking shit about. Like, motherfucker, I can't. When Dylan tries to go help, like, lift up, I think it was, like, the dresser or whatever, Mr. Del Rossi's back gets blown out. Not in that way. So he's just, like, on the ground, and he tells Marco, he's like, just go back to your party. Marco's like, how can I go back to my party when I have my father, like a 300-pound man, on my floor? Like, that don't work. Okay, later we hear him talking about life after high school with Paige. He's like, he's just very stressed. He's like, you know, there's a lot of things going on. And yeah, he's like, there's just so many changes and everything like that. Like, it's just an adjustment. In part 2, he helps Ellie move into her dorm. And then by the end of the episode, he helps Ellie move into his place with Dylan. Because remember, this is the time when Ellie gets that roommate who's very old school, very bubbly. She's kind of sweet. She's kind of weird. But you know what? Everyone has a weird roommate. So it happens. Not me, though. My roommate experiences in college were lovely. Minus a small incident in a friend group, which I had no part in. I just told these bitches, I don't care. And I still stayed friends with the other person. So it didn't matter to me anyway, because it seemed like a personal issue on the other side. Like, I'm like, I had nothing to do with this, okay? So, period. In True Colors, he comments about Ellie and Jesse. Next night, he comments on Ellie cooking, and she says that Jesse cut her article. He also tells her to either choose her self-respect or Jesse, because this is right before she starts dating Jesse. Because clearly, she chooses that she doesn't have any self-respect. But that seems like an Ellie issue. I mean, literally, that's literally Ellie's issue her entire time on Degrassi. Moving on. Working for the weekend, he tells Jesse that he keeps telling Jimmy to sell shirts. He also joins in on playing poker, and then he helps the t-shirts throughout the episodes, like he's at the shop selling them, blah, 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 blah. And what's it feel like to be a ghost? Craig's back, and he plays for the crew in the living room. Remember, this is one of Ellie's pick-me episodes, but this is like where it like really is like at its highest high, I feel like, because this is when Craig comes back and he's on that white stuff, right? At the dinner table, when Ellie is being a pick-me bitch, he's there. Marco's there. He ends up cleaning up the mess that Manny makes because she went upstairs and got high with Craig. And she comes back down and she's like all giggly because at first the dinner was very awkward. Ellie was very, very, very much like, oh, this is the stuff that we learned in college. This is stuff where, you know, oh my God, we're making all these references. And as soon as Manny just tries to connect with them, she side-eyes her and everything goes quiet. And I feel like the only reason why it went quiet in the first place was because Ellie set her up for that. Like, this is all Ellie's fault. I blame Ellie and I blame Craig because Craig is not sitting there defending his girlfriend whatsoever. I hate him. Yeah. In Rock This Town, he is texting somebody about Liberty's birthday party. This is when literally the party just goes a little bit out of hand, but we just see a quick shot of him like texting somebody. We don't know who the hell it was. And If You Leave, he complains about having to pull an all-nighter to Dylan. Dylan's been out every night that week, and it pisses Marco off. It would piss me off too. Like, he's not even like kissing him. He's like being like, oh, bye. Like, something's wrong with you. So he confides in Jimmy and Spin at the t-shirt shop and that Dylan is never around. Spin tells him to check if he has a phase room page. He has some PTSD from Darcy, you know. He's like, check it. I bet he got one. Check it. So Marco plans a romantic dinner at home, and he mentions that maybe next year they'll have a place of their own. Dylan says that things could change, and that's when his phone rings. And Marco says, he's like, I thought your phone died, because prior to them starting dinner, Dylan said that his phone had died, but all of a sudden your phone rings. Dylan's all like, oh, maybe I guess it just like power back up or whatever. You can't even lie correctly. You mother sucker. Oh my God. Eventually, like, you know, right after dinner, he ends up checking Dylan's emails and suspects he's cheating on him again because there's some dude who has emailed him like 3 times. His name is Julian. And the emails are very vague too. Like, the way it reads, it's very much like, oh, you're trying to hook up with somebody, because it's like, oh, don't call my phone. Meet me here. Okay, I got a table, 6:00. Like, it's saying, it literally is like that. And so then when we move forward, so let's jump forward. So when he ends up popping up at the place, because, well, first he tells Jimmy and Spin about the emails, being like, oh my God, he's cheating on me. He's like, I'm gonna pop up on his ass. And so he does. And he confronts Dylan, and he calls him Curly, because he's like, you know what? Shut it, Curly. And he tries to tell this dude that, you know, like, he's got a boyfriend. Like, did he tell you that? Julian, did he tell you that he has a boyfriend and he cheated on me once before, and now he trying to cheat on me again? This motherfucker, like, he's like going at him. And that's when Dylan's like, oh, Julian is a recruiter for a hockey team in Zurich. What kind of fucking recruiter has emails like that? That don't make no fucking sense. That is unprofessional emails. Unprofessional. Okay? Just because, like, it doesn't matter what field you're in, an email to someone who you're trying to recruit, or even just an email to someone for something professionally, that's not a professional email. That's really fucking weird to be like, oh, don't call my phone. I'd be like, pardon? Like, I think it was both factors going on there, okay? Maybe Julian was trying to get on a date with him or something. Some shit was going on too, because ain't no way these kind of emails pass for professional. No, they don't. Back home, Dylan tells him he's thinking about it, and they argue about him going to be part of the hockey team. And that's when Dylan finally like shuts down and starts yelling. He's like, it's like, well, we both agree that you think that my hockey hobby is dumb anyway. So like, what the fuck? But then Marco, like, he calms down and he's like, that is dumb. But to him, it's Dylan's life. Marco encourages him to go. And obviously he does, because he dips, because fuck you, Dylan. In Free Falling Parts 1 and 2, Paige comes by, and he and Dylan are hosting Thanksgiving. This is before he leaves. Him and Dylan are convincing Marco's dad that they are just roommates. It's chaotic because him and Dylan are fighting all the damn time about what to make for Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving is chaotic because, remember, these are the episodes that are mainly about Paige when she's failing at parenting and she comes back home. These are those episodes, and this is when Alex starts to notice what the fuck is going on with Paige. So that's why Marco's just like, he's there and then he's not there, you know, that type of thing. In Love My Way, he is mad that Dylan's leaving. This is during Dylan's going away party. Moving on to Sunglasses at Night at the shop. He's at the shop when his dad asks if he wants to gamble. This is his whole gambling episode. He's starting to spiral because Dylan's gone. And he's thinking about going on vacation and wants to have fun in Daytona Beach. So him and Spin are planning to do that. So Spin is like, so what are we going to do for money? He's like, cool. It's all right because I got a plan. We're going to play poker for some money. So they go out to celebrate after a win because he won on the computer. He won like $70 or whatever. And they're out. And this is when the demon shows up. Okay? You know who I'm talking about when I say the demon. And he goes on being like, oh yeah, like there's some actual legitimate games for you to play. You can make some big money. You can score more than like $20 or whatever, $50. Like, you can get some real shit. So this is when Marco starts to gamble, and he's on this carpe diem high. He's been gambling. Spin, on the other hand, is like, something, you got a fucking problem. He's like, there's an issue going on here. And so Spin ultimately tells him he is over the mess, like he needs to get his shit together. So Marco ends up visiting his dad and steals some money to go gamble some more. And he has a game at the t-shirt shop. And the thing is, just like in the in the Drive episode, there's a silent alarm at the t-shirt shop. So police show up, Spin shows up, and that's when Marco's like, "Oh my god!" Like, oh no, this is a little bit after. But in the moment, the police are like, "Oh, does he have permission to be here?" Spinner's like, "No, he doesn't." I'm like, "Ooh, damn." But hey, he's not wrong about that. But then we fast forward to the next day. His dad finds out about the gambling and calls him out on the money that was missing. It was $600. I said, "Oh." So Marco admits that he stole it, and he tells Dad he's empty without Dylan, and that Dylan is his boyfriend. And his dad, like, this is his first time, like, referencing Dylan as his boyfriend. And I'm not mad at his dad for, like, bypassing that, because in this moment, his dad is like, don't use that man as an excuse. What you did is what you did. Don't be like, "Oh, I'm lonely without him." Don't pull that shit. What you did is what you did. Marco says that he's done, and his dad tells him that he can work off what he stole, down at the shop. And he tells him pretty much, it's like, people leave, you have to live your life. And his dad is correct. It doesn't fucking matter who you're dating, who you're with, your best friend, your cousin. It don't matter. People leave. You still need to live your life. And don't you dare be hung up over Dylan's ugly ass. The one who cheated on you and then tried to tell you he wanted to be in an open relationship. Don't be crying over that nigga. Like, don't do this to me. Stop. And Don't You Want Me Part 2, he's at the club when Jesse walks up to the table trying to flirt with Ellie, because remember, they had broken up for whatever reason. I forgot. Don't care. He's like, "Hey, Ellie." Whatever. Moving on. Moving on to season 7. Jotting this down. It's okay. He's in Standing in the Dark Part 2. It's his and Dylan's anniversary. Dylan's gone, but Marco hasn't gotten a call, nothing. He's like, what the fuck? And so he storms in upset over Dylan when Jesse is at his place with Eric. Because, mind you, Eric was the cutie Eric was the one that Dylan was making out with in his dorm. You see how that happens? And Ellie's trying to set him up, and he shuts Eric down. The next day, he agrees to take Eric out for a cup of coffee after being frustrated with Ellie trying to set them up. And this is like, because he finally got a text, and it's like, "Happy Eniv, love Dill, XO, whatever." Like, he's like, what kind of fucking text is that? Like, that would piss me off too. Like, my God. And so while on the date with Eric, Eric says that he has a crutch. Says that Marco is using Dylan as a crutch. While Marco's is like, "Well, we're together." And Eric also says that Marco is hiding under a security blanket, because he is. Eric says that he's done it, and Eric says that he knows that Marco deserves someone good to him. And this immediately makes me think of Good to You by Mariana's Trench. If you don't know the band, I need you to find them and look them up and listen to that song, because it's one of my favorite songs. I love that band. But that's the first song that comes to mind. I'm sorry. And so Marco is dead set on being faithful to Dylan. It's very annoying. He apologizes for the story going under when he sees Ellie the next day. Not Ellie, it was Paige. It says that when it's time, ultimately being like, I need to break up with Dylan. And so he ends up calling him, and they finally break up. Because literally as he calls, and I guess Dylan on the other line is like, "Oh shit, is this that conversation?" And that's when he's like, "Yeah, this is the talk. Yeah, we're done. Good. Leave each other alone for forever. Please don't ever go back, Marco." In Love is a Battlefield, they interview for a new roommate. Marco and Paige agree to have Griffin as a roommate. They're like, he's cute, he's funny, he's nice, cool, love him. He helps Paige with the outfits from work that she's bringing in. And it's tricky. Griffin tells him to bring Jimmy and Ashley to open jam night. Remind you, on the other side, this is the Jimmy Ashley mess that's going on with him, doing the rap and shit. Anyway, moving on to Death or Glory Part 2. Griffin invites Griffin invites Marco out because Marco's like at home. He's like doing Sudoku. He's like, oh, I'm not gonna do. I don't want to go with him. And so Griffin asks, later the next day, Griffin asks if he looks good before leaving the house. And the girls point out to Marco that he can be intense and that he can be alone for 2 seconds. Like, they're like, okay, so first you went on a date with Eric. And you didn't like the date with Eric because he had said that he had went out with Eric for a second and it just wasn't clicking. And they're like, okay, but now you're trying to go after Griffin. Like, what the fuck is happening? And so Paige invites him to a major sale at work, and he goes to tell Griffin about the sale, and they plan to go. Griffin shows up at home and says that he's sorry that he missed it. Marco is pissed that Griffin bailed and is doing way too much because he's all like, you're supposed to communicate. Like, that's how you build a relationship. Griffin's like, what fucking relationship? Like, you're being really weird about this. Because Griffin is like, oh, yeah, I got a call from a girl. You know what it's like. Marco's like, I don't know what it's like. And it's like, I get it. You're saying, like, you don't know what it's like because you don't know what it's like to get a call from a girl. Be like, ooh, come through. You know, you don't know that. Like, I can get you saying that. But Marco's doing very too much. Like, Marco's heavily dependent on other people to go places with. He's just heavily dependent on other people. Like, he always has to be up somebody's ass. Like, I swear. Every single time we see him, he's up somebody's ass. He's always with somebody. Mainly Ellie. Like, he's always with somebody. He's never, like, by himself. He doesn't go to the dot by himself. He doesn't do anything by himself. And it's very, very annoying. Okay, moving on. I have to scroll back down because my phone jumped back to the beginning of the notes. Anyway, okay. Paige tells him that being single doesn't mean he has to really be alone. And she leaves for work. And this is when he pulls out a rabbit. A rabbit. And Jesse's girl, he's at the party when he tells people to use coasters. When Ellie drinks, he gets nervous and asks about her mom. Being like, how's your mom doing? And this is a chaotic episode. This is an Ellie episode because it's literally called Jesse's girl anyway. And so Ellie starts to drink, and he's concerned about Ellie being hungover when Caitlin drops by. Because remember, mind you, Caitlin was hooking up with Jesse. Right? Y'all remember that scene? Right. This is that episode. So moving on to Pets the Duchy, Paige made him and Ellie breakfast. He tells Paige to go back to reality and get back to work because I guess when she had a little scuffle at work with her and Andrea or whatever. And he asks her, like, what gets her further in life, 4 years with Andrea or 4 years at university? Because he's like, you hated at university. Like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do moving forward? And university is not for anybody. College is not for everybody. You don't need to go to university. You don't need to go to college to have a fucking career. It's not necessary. It's really not. So I love the fact that he is, like, being able to talk to her because at first that's when Paige was all like, oh, maybe I can enroll here. He's like, do you really want to go back to school? She's like, you're right. Exactly. Like, don't do something just because for the sake of, like, doing it or feeling as if you have to. Just do what does well for you. And, like, at work, you always have situations going on at work. Like, there are always ebbs and flows. Like, there's always issues going on or whatever. Like, there's times when you, like, second guess your job, your career, and all that kind of stuff. And people do, like, make career changes, but sometimes it's really just, like, a bad day, a bad week, a mini fight with, like, a coworker or something like that, but then you still love what you do. And so Paige, ultimately, you know, she stays working for Andrea. Moving on to owner of a lonely heart. He can't get a waiter to come to the table, so he orders at the bar. Some dude is flirting with him, and the guy buys him and Ellie calamari. While shopping, Ellie is distracted while shopping with Ellie, he is distracted and accidentally mentions about cabaret night because the guy was telling him about, like, going to cabaret night, going to different pride events on campus. And Marco was like, oh yeah, I never got around to, like, going to an event because he always has to have somebody to go with. He can't go by himself. That's the damn problem, Marco. And so he ends up buying a shirt because he's like, oh, shit, I wasn't supposed to say that. Because she's like, oh, my God, we're going. She's like, I have nothing to wear. He's like, actually, I want to go on my own. She's like, oh, okay, cool. And as they're going to pay, he ain't got the money for it. So Ellie pays for his shirt. So he ends up going to cabaret night, and Devin pays for drinks. He spots Eric. Eric is working as a waiter at the bar, and he ends up helping him. He apologizes to Eric and says that they should catch up. Another guy flirts with him, but he turns him down. And Devin invites him to another club, and he leaves because he has to go to class. He and Eric, they get together and to get coffee and actually hang out. And he dogs on Eric's interest because he's bored as fuck. He's like, oh shit, this is boring, because he likes to do like it wasn't Sudoku, it was something else, but it was Sudoku, one of the damn games. And it's like, Marco, you were just trying to solve a damn puzzle, crossword puzzle. Like, how you gonna, what? Shut up. Also, there's nothing wrong with doing a little puzzle, damn it, okay? It helps stimulate the mind, okay? Without being overwhelming, okay? Okay, I'm gonna need you to leave puzzles alone. Thank you. But also the fact that Eric likes jazz, and he's like, ooh, this is boring. And I'm like, people come like, leave. Michael doing too much. He's doing entirely too much for me. He ends up telling Ellie and Griffin and admits that the date was lame. And then Marco asks for money and says that he's going out with Devin. Ellie calls him out on it because she's like, you're using your friends to impress some random dude that you just fucking met. He shows up to the club that Devin told him about, and the bastard says he owes $50. Marco's like, I don't have that kind of money. He's like, oh, you want to come back to my place and watch DVDs? Devin is like, I don't do that shit. No, I'm not going to sit and watch DVDs with you. So figure your shit out. He ends up going to Eric and asks him to help him get a job. He does go to goes to one of the places to gamble on horses, and he loses because he's like very hurt for cash now. He's like really trying to find some quick money. He runs into Devin, and Devin says he'll help him out. And so a guy pulls up, and Devin's like, get in the car. And he's like, oh, the fuck? And so they like drive for a little bit, and then they pull over to like a secluded area, and that's when he finds out that Devin is a hooker. And like I said, how you get your money is how you get your money. I ain't mad at it, okay? If you gotta do a little trick, do it, okay? As long as you are safe, okay? And so the next day, Ellie calls him out on his shit again, being like, oh my god, did you have fun? Being very passive aggressive and shit, like she always does. Like she never knows how to just like outright just be like, you know what, you pissing me off. And he tells her to shut up and tells Ellie that Devin was a hooker. Ellie asks if he did it, but Marco says he didn't do it. She asks what he's looking for, and Marco's like, I don't know. They end up talking about Eric and how he got Marco the job, and he says he wants to feel confident and sexy, and all the he wants to feel a certain way, but he's having a hard time executing that in this time period in his life, and I get that. But the shit that's happening makes no sense to me because, yeah. Which is why the title of this video is What the Fuck Is This? Because what the fuck is this storyline for Marco? Like I get it. You're not in a relationship anymore. You're struggling with being on your own. But my thing is, it felt like they just threw random shit at Marco. Like, his whole purpose on the show was just to just be in a relationship. And so it feels like things are just really stupid. Anyway, in Talking in Your Sleep, he says he's not going to help Paige paint, but then relents when Griffin is like, oh, come on, guys, we all got to help out. While working, Griffin stops by and tells him that he has feelings for Paige. He was about to say that he was, HIV positive, but he's like, oh, no, I got feelings for Paige. Marco's like, okay, fine, just don't hurt her feelings. And then later, him and Paige are going through Griffin's things, and they find the pills, and that's when Paige puts everything together. She's like, oh, my God, these pills, if you put them all together, these are the pills that someone takes if they're HIV positive. So him and Paige, Paige calls Ellie. Ellie comes over and Paige tells Ellie what happens. And that's when Paige says that they actually had sex. So, like Paige said, he played with her life. Like, you can't do that, my guy. Okay, Griffin, you can't do that. Moving on to Don't Stop Believing, him and Eric are bonding at work, and they pretty much are exclusive, like they're actually dating. This might have been like a little mini scene in one of the episodes in between, but I didn't count it because, you know what, whatever. Okay, there's only so many episodes where Marco actually like has like speaking time, okay? And so like they're exclusive, they're together. Ellie comes over after the speed dating and over to the counter after speed dating, and Paige says that she's moving out. He stops by the court, and Ellie shares that she is shortlisted for the assistant position, and he's about to ask Eric to move in. Him and Eric go out, and he eventually does ask him to move in. Eric says that he and Ellie are attached at the hip, and he doesn't want to ruin their relationship by moving too fast. Valid. Marco goes home and says maybe him and Ellie should go their separate ways. And there's another blackout. Paige and girlfriend, they come home and they have like a study break with some ice cream that's like about to melt. They're like, ooh, yes, have fun. And so Paige and girlfriend, they're about to be like, they're about to get down with the get down, okay? So him and Ellie go upstairs and things get weird. Like, my God, they're over here bonding, being, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss you. I miss like you having like down the hall from me. Like, I'm gonna miss you so much. Blah, 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 blah. And they end up making out. Like I said, throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's what they were doing with him on the show. Ellie jokes about getting a 1-bedroom apartment, like, as soon as they wake up. And he's, like, frantically trying to leave for an exam. He's like, He's like, I don't have time to process what the fuck happened. And then later, him and Ellie talk around the situation with Paige. Being all like, oh, like, and what if something did something, like, if something happened? And Paige is like, what? And so Ellie leaves, and Paige is like, I need details. And so he tells her that he and Ellie hooked up. He asks if he cheated, and she's like, well, that depends on the matters of the heart. He goes by the core when Ellie pesters him about having the conversation about what the fuck happened. Eric shows up, and he congratulates Eric when the job ends up going to Ellie, because remember, this is on the TV where Jesse is like, oh, I'm here to announce who was going to be taking over as the assistant of the core. And it was already like Eric had pretty much in the bag. He had been working there for 3 fucking years, but Jesse gives it to Ellie, who just showed up. I'd be pissed too. Which literally, like 2 seconds later, Eric is pissed. Because he's like, oh, okay, I see how you operate, Ellie. Like, this is why you swoop the fuck in. You sleep with the boss, and then you get the fucking job. Like, I wouldn't slut shame Ellie, but I would be pissed, though. Because if, like, I've worked for this fucking, this journal, this whatever the fuck it is, newspaper, for years. I've been in college for 3 years. I'm about to go into my last year, and this would be, like, a major stepping stool, whatever, for my career, post-graduation. This would be great for me. But he gives it to you. I would be pissed too. Okay? Like, valid. And so Marco apologizes to Ellie, and he's like, well, that is my boyfriend. And he runs after Eric. At home, Marco points out that he almost didn't stop last night, and Ellie admits that she didn't want him to stop either. So it gets really, really fucking weird. And so he admits that they are really too dependent on each other, because now they're like, they became such close friends out there, depending on each other for like intimacy. Like, he's like, this is weird, okay? And he says that it's fucking up they're fucking up their friendship. And so the next day, the trio says their goodbyes. Moving on to season 8. This is Paradise City. I'm just gonna lump it all together because I can do whatever the fuck I want. Marco is in Canada while Paige is over in LA. She's working for the damn the C-listed star or whatever. And so he's like, oh my God, I get to go visit her because now she's going to be an actress. She's going to be the lead in a movie. And he gets there. Obviously, he's hanging out at the house. Yeah, Ellie is having her own situation with Craig. No one gives a fuck about that. Paige is having her own situation with everything. We have Manny running to get to be on the movie, having her mishaps. Her and Jay get back together. So in the midst of all this chaos, Marco is just there. But he does have like small moments, like he's like in the kitchen when he starts to have concerns about Ellie getting involved with Craig again. He's like, oh my fucking God, not this shit again. And she's like, I'm over him. It's like, clearly you're not. Like, you got issues, girl. I'm gonna need you to go to therapy. Like, hardcore therapy. Like, therapy. Like, I need psychiatry. Like, I need you to, like, something. Like, you need help, bitch. And at the same time, he keeps getting calls from, Ellie's mom, and he keeps telling her, Ellie, you need to talk to your mom because your dad is home. Because remember, her dad had gone off to war like 50,000 years ago, and his ass is back. Okay? And he's in the fucking hospital, probably with some PTSD and some shit. So he's like, you need to call your mom and talk to your mom. You need to handle your shit. I don't know what the fuck you avoiding, but you need to handle it. Flash forward to, I think it's like part 3, whatever, 4, something like that. When him and Craig are looking for Ellie, and then we had that scene where Ellie was about to herself in the ocean or whatever, and they end up, getting her out, taking care of her and all that kind of stuff and all that shit. And then ultimately, it was like after that when Marco went back to the house and he's like, Paige, like I told you, like, what was going on, like we really need you. And Paige is all up in her own ass, on her own world. And that's when he calls her out on being an insecure little girl, and she slaps him. And so then when Marco and Ellie end up going back home, he takes Ellie to the hospital so she could see her dad. And that's when we see him like standing outside the door while they're having their moment. And Paige calls him and he doesn't answer because he said, I'm done with your shit, bitch. Like, I'm done. Because over time throughout the episodes, Paige was being like very much like the snarky mean girl from high school. Like she was making comments and doing like really stupid shit. Like the scene when her and the sea star that is now her quote unquote friend, when they were trying to make a plan so Paige can get more attention on her. So they end up coming up with an idea for her to, flash her coochie. And Marco's like, what the fuck? Like that kind of shit. It was that kind of stuff going on. It was a lot of chaos. So that's what happened in season 8. Now moving on to his one episode in season 9, In Heart Like Mine. So in this episode, him and Holly J are really, really close. They're really close friends. He's also now a TA. He is going to be a teacher, even though he said he was going to be a social worker. But like I said, continuity issues on Degrassi. Like there's always some shit that's getting like mixed up and changed and everything like that. I think they just switched that up to bring Marco back. They probably had Adamo Ruggiero come back for a minute. He was like, yeah, I could pop up for an episode. So they like switched some shit around so he could be there. But he is a TA and he is in Mr. Perino's classroom. And so he's really just struggling with how to navigate being a teacher, being in a space with other teenagers. Like you had some Fitz look-alike motherfucker trying to be like all tough, and Marco like shuts it down. Mr. Perino, he like watches him because I think after the incident that he had with Derek, he's like very mindful of like how things will go. So when that moment happens, when Marco calls out on the kid of being like, oh, how tall are you? Or whatever, like, that type of thing. Mr. Perino doesn't laugh. He doesn't yell at Marco, but he's like very observant. I feel like he got his reality check from the Danny and Derek situation. So I think he was just being very observant with that, just making sure that Marco wasn't going to be like another one of him that needed to get checked, just making sure of that. But in the situation with Holly J and Declan, they want to go to some celebration. I forgot what it was. It was some gala or something like that, something on campus. And so there was an assignment due, and they end up asking Marco if they can get an extension. Marco says, cool, y'all can get an extension. But then everybody in class, Sav and the like, find out that Holly J and Declan got an extension. And so Perino pulls them to the side. It was like, I'm not about to be grading papers over the weekend because you can't stand 10 toes down and tell these kids when these fucking assignments is due. Okay. No, it was the athlete gala. So this is around the time when KC and Jenna were doing their shit. See, yeah, it was like around that time, something like that. And so that's when Marco's like, you know what? Your assignments need to be done by midnight before the gala, not after, hoes, before. And so after class, Holly J goes back to class and she's all like, I know that wasn't really for me. Like, we're besties. I can get away with it. He said, no, your shit is due before midnight, bitch. You better hurry up and finish it. Because like, I believe it was like a little bit later, like around the gala time or like during the gala. And she was like, oh wait, you were fucking serious? He's like, yeah. She's like, oh my God, that leaves me only like an hour to like finish it, whatever. He's like, well, you better hurry the fuck up and submit it. And she ends up submitting it before midnight and at the gala, or as I believe it was like at the dance, something like that. Him and Mr. Perino are talking, and he does get the email from Holly J literally like 4 minutes before midnight. Mr. Perino's like, good for you for putting your foot down. You can't let these little ugly ass kids tell you what the fuck to do, because you can't. Because these kids will pull one over on you. And they will try to get you. Like, they'll try to run over on you all the time. If you let them, they will. And so that's Marco's time on the show. We see him again in Degrassi Next Class in that really terrible episode that I absolutely hate. This is the reunion episode thingy with Tristan trying to do the performance thingy thing. And at the same time, we got Lola trying to defend Tiny's honor. It's so stupid. I hate it. Moving on. But moving on to like lessons learned and my thoughts. What time is it? 49... 42. Okay. I'm writing this down and I'm keeping all this in because I'm not editing that much, okay? What do I think about Marco? I really like Marco as a character. I'm just mad that this is what the fuck they gave him. Like I said earlier, like they were just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what stuck. Like him dating Dylan, yes. Love that as a storyline because obviously he is our gay character. We want him to have some romance, but not Dylan the entire time on the show because as soon as Dylan leaves, we have this fuck shit of gambling and other, like, there's nothing there. Marco's storyline is just all about him being gay. It's nothing about anything else. Like, I feel like I would have found it more interesting about Marco's storyline if they, after Dylan left, if he started to just like him being reclusive, that makes sense. That's fine. But the gambling thing, that's when I was just like, what the fuck are we doing? And then him making out with Ellie and almost hooking up with her, like, that's really weird. I feel like for me, I would have been more, I would have liked, like, Marco to, like, slowly, like, start to, go out, like, get out there. Like, not even jumping into a whole nother relationship with Eric either. Like, you could have romantic interest. Like, I'm not dogging that. He could have more romantic interest. But I just would have loved to have just seen Marco develop more as a character. Like, I would love to have him develop, like, a sense of style. Meet other gay people. Like, you know, like, he finally just started to go to Pride events. And then he ends up meeting a hooker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would love to have seen him, like, go to the Pride events, like, actually, like, get out there more, and then find things that he's really passionate about, because we hear him say that he wants to be a social worker. I would have loved to have seen him do, like, more, like, advocating work for that. Like, we get the blood drive episode in him talking about that and what it's like to be, to not be able to do the blood drive because he's gay. Like, I just would love to have seen more of that. Like, we have all of that shit with Emma and Ashley and their, like, you know, their advocacy work. But we don't have that for Marco. And I feel like this is very telling to me and very frustrating because I love it. I would have loved to have just seen Marco, like, do more advocating work, like, on campus and that kind of stuff. I would have loved to have seen that. Like, even, they don't have to be, like, really big episodes, but, like, hearing him being, like, you know, coming back home and being, like, oh, like, on the phone, being like, oh, yeah, we're gonna do this, and this event. I'll meet y'all there at 12 o'clock, but let me go ahead and shower, eat. Like, I wanted to hear him be, like, booked and busy. Like, I would have loved that for him. I would love that for Marco, to be booked, busy, and doing his own damn thing, instead of wallowing at home 24/7 if he's not hanging out with Ellie or Paige. Like, I just would have loved to have just seen him just do more. And then that would have showed us, like, even if you have, like, a long relationship from high school or whatever, like, him getting back together with Dylan, I didn't like it, but I don't care. Anyway, but just, like, the fact of, like, yes, you can be in a relationship, and it could be, like, a very long-term relationship, and once you're finally out, like, you know, it is hard to get back to doing things that you love, or maybe you never really had the time to develop things that you love because you had been with this person since high school and they became your world. And then you get to college, actually, like, developing your sense of self. I would have loved that storyline because that's very true, very much accurate, especially for people who are just coming to college, because they're only, like, what? They're, like, freshmen? And Marco does nothing this entire fucking time, but end up getting, like, dates and stuff. Like, I would have just loved to have just seen him, like, develop as a character and actually, like, you know, have a storyline outside of, like, Paige and Ellie and romance. I don't know. I just would have loved to have just seen him, like, do more. And I also would have loved to have him and his dad for them to have a conversation, and his dad actually be like, you know what, I'm cool with my son being gay. Like, if Marco, like, went to events or something like that, or went to, like, a really major event, and it happened to be, like, across the street from his dad's job or something, and seeing his son protesting, and possibly, like, even, this is probably dark, but eventually like the police showing up and his dad starting to, you know, fear for his life or something like that, and make his dad like, you know, think like, okay, I love my son and I want to know him. I want to be part of his life because I don't ever want him to feel like he's alone and that he can't trust me and that I can't protect him. Like, that would have been so fucking good of a storyline for them to like reconnect, and eventually for his dad to be like, you know what, I love you, Marco, and I love and appreciate that you came out to me, and I want to make it up to you. What can I do? Because I don't want you to feel like you're alone, and I don't want you to feel like you're unsafe in the world. I want you to be protected always. Because his dad loved him, clearly, but he was just being an asshole. But, like, let's focus on that, please. Like, oh my God. I feel like they just dropped the ball, and they were focusing too many storylines on other characters and other bullshit going on. Like, you have Caitlyn come back, cooking up with Jesse. Like, it was just too much extra bullshit. Like, like, let's stick with things that fucking matter. And it's the characters and their actual storylines and not just the chaos of this other mess. Like, I feel like that's just me. But anyway, that's all I have for this video. If you like this video, be sure to like it. Comment below, what do you think about Marco? I love you guys. I will catch you tomorrow for our first video of Degrassi Junior High. After that, I need to film some other videos because I need to take a break from Degrassi before my head blows up. So I'll be making some other content from other shows, movies, shorts, short movies that I've been watching. So stay tuned. Love you guys. And until next time, stay magical. Bye. Mwah.